Thank you, Jennifer, and good morning to everyone. My name is Colette Phipps, and I'm with the Westchester County Department of Senior Programs and Services. And I'm happy to be able to be bringing greetings from the county exec, George Latimer, and also from our Commissioner, May Carpenter. And very excited about today's program. Ms. Moss knows that her salad that we're going to make today is my very, very favorite. So we can proceed, and thank you so much for attending.
Okay, so I'm going to give you my 2-minute introduction to Livable Communities and to the Age-Friendly Collaborative. For those of you who are not familiar with it, Livable Communities is an initiative that uses the concept, you have to think virtual, concept of villages. And a village can be a store, it can be a house of worship, it can be a library, and brings people together to advocate for seniors, to to provide programming, whether it's recreational or health or financial, and to help them age in the best way possible in their communities. The collaborative, which I co-chair with my buddy Deb Castle, is an umbrella collaborative for, I think there were 16 collaboratives in the county. I may have lost count by now. And we also provide educational forums, opportunities for seniors to meet other seniors, opportunities for seniors to get information. And we do this at normal times in person, but of course now we're doing it via Zoom. And we appreciate the support from Colette and Jen and May Carpenter and our county executive. So for those of you who are interested in participating or haven't been participating and want to be part of Livable Communities or the collaborative, feel free to contact any one of us and we can make that happen for you in the area in which you live. So thank you. And now, Deb, you're going to introduce our speaker, right?
That's correct. So it's my pleasure to introduce Daryl Moss, who is our presenter today. She's a certified holistic health coach and has been in practice for 13 years. She takes a functional medicine approach to her work, understanding that everything in the body is interconnected. Although Daryl puts a major emphasis on nutrition, lifestyle modifications are also integral to her work. Daryl's private practice is called Mission to Wellness, and there she develops customized plans for each client to help them get their bodies back to a state of balance. Daryl also runs virtual group programs with 2 of her colleagues at the Synergy 3. She also contributes to several local publications and is an active volunteer in the community. Her newsletter features information about food, nutrition, the environment, and gluten-free recipes. For a free subscription, you can contact Daryl and we'll give you her email address in the chat, right, Jen? Okay. And with that, I'm happy to introduce my friend, Daryl Moss.
Thank you, Deb, and thank you, all of you ladies, for inviting me to speak today. I love doing presentations for you guys. And today we're going to make 2 salads that are delicious, they're incredibly healthy, and they're really easy to make. I don't know about you guys, but now that the world is opening back up again and we're having barbecues, I like to have stuff that I can make ahead of time that I can serve when my company gets there. It doesn't have to be reheated. So today I'm making a favorite salad in this community, a watermelon salad, and then we're also going to make a quinoa protein salad. So in my family, we have a lot of different dietary issues. So I choose things to make that everybody can eat. So sometimes I keep some of the ingredients on the side. I don't mix it all together so that everybody can participate in the meal. So we're starting off with the watermelon salad. So just to save some time, I've already boiled most of the watermelon. So I don't know if you can see it in the bowl. But I just wanted to show you that this is something, if your grandchildren are coming to visit you, or your children are coming and they're young, it's really easy to do. You know, it's just a quick scoop and turn into the, drop it into the bowl. And so especially if you have young kids in your home who want to participate with you, this is a safe activity for them where they can't get hurt. There's nothing sharp. You don't have to make watermelon salad cutting up a whole watermelon, which, watermelons are heavy to carry home from the store and they are hard to cut. So you can certainly buy pre-chopped watermelon, but if you do that, remember that it's not going to last as long in the refrigerator. And you can also buy big pieces of watermelon that have already been cut in half or quartered and do it that way. So this salad does not have a lot of ingredients. So watermelon is the base. I have fresh mint, which I've mostly already chopped up. I'm going to put this in, and just to show you, it doesn't have to be done exactly. You can just sort of pile the leaves up and just cut them across. And then after you do the whole bunch, I'm just doing this quickly because this is extra, and then just go the other way. You could certainly put the mint leaves in a mini chopper, but you just want to make sure that you don't puree them. You want to actually have little pieces of mint, because the mint flavor with the watermelon is delicious. It's a great combination. The next ingredient that I'm going to add is red onion. So we're going to have the sweet, we're going to have some tart, we have we're going to have lime, which is the tartness, and then I'm going to show you about some feta cheese. So you could also put onion in a food processor or a mini chopper, but I just want to show you, because everybody doesn't have one, a very easy way to cut it. So I've cut vertical lines throughout the onion. Now I'm going to turn it the other way, so it's going to look basically like a piece of graph paper. Now I'm not going to go all the way to the bottom, just mostly to the bottom, because I want it held together. And so now I don't know if you can see, it's like a piece of graph paper. And then when you put the onion on its side and you cut it, it's all crumbled up, in little pieces. It's all diced, and the pieces are pretty much uniformly sized. And it's such an easy way to prepare the onions. So I'm going to just add these in to show you, but we put about, when I make a full salad, when I'm having everybody over, this is half of a watermelon. It comes out to about 8 cups when I chop it or make it into little balls. I have about 2 cups of chopped mint that I put in. And I put in, when I make it, I would put in the whole onion. For the dressing, I zest and I juice 2 limes. This is a zester. It is sharp. If you don't have a zester, you don't have to put the zest. So the zest is the outside of the peel, and it just adds a little more zing and zip to the sauce. So you just go like this all the way around the lime, and it goes right in. And you can see, I'll show you before I shake it into the bowl. They're just, can you guys see that? They're just little pieces of lime. But when you do that, it just adds a little bit more flavor. So you can juice the lime with a juicer if you have one. And if you don't have one, you can use one of these little hand juicers, which are so easy. And I have little ones, and I have actually a big one, which I use mostly for lemons. But these limes are actually pretty big, so I'm going to use the big one. So when I'm making this, I've already made one of these salads, which I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's completed, but I normally would zest the whole lime to get all of it in. But again, if you don't have a zester, that's okay, because the lime juice itself is delicious. And so I put 2 whole limes at least, depending on how juicy they are. These are really big, so I don't think I need 3 limes, but I'll put 2 in. And so it's just so easy. Just squeeze it, and the juice comes right out. And then I'm also going to add, I'm not going to juice them both right now, but And then I add a tablespoon or 2 of olive oil. And this is olive oil from California. You have to be careful where you're getting your olive oil from, because some of the olive oils on the market are not actually pure olive oil. They're mixed with other oils, so you do need to be careful. And then you mix it together, and the colors are just beautiful. So I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's all done. And I like to serve it in a glass bowl because it's so pretty and you want to see the colors. Now, I love to have feta cheese with it. And I keep the feta on the side because I have so many dairy-free people or vegans who are coming to my house to eat. But the great thing about adding the feta to the watermelon salad is that feta gives a really tangy flavor. So you've got the combination of the sweet watermelon, the onion, which is really sharp, but mixed with the sweetness, it sort of tames it. You've got the wonderful flavor of fresh mint, and you've got the zing also of the lime. So there's not one ingredient in this that isn't healthy for you. So we've got watermelon, almost everything here is high in vitamin C, which is so important to our immune strength. We've got ingredients that are high in vitamin A, watermelon especially, so good for our eyes. The onion is great. It's an antioxidant, it's anti-cancer, it's got antimicrobial properties. Everything here is good for you. The mint especially, they're all so good. And the salad, as you guys know, is so delicious, and it's 100% healthy. And one of the things I believe in my business is that food could be, we want to be feeding ourselves food that's delicious, that's giving us the nutrients that we need to thrive. And everything here that we're having today is good for you. So this is so easy to make. Again, you don't have to buy a whole watermelon. You can buy it pre-chopped at the store. But if you do buy it, when you start chopping it up or using a melon baller to scoop it out, there's delicious juice at the bottom. So don't throw that away. Pour it into a glass and drink it when you're done, because you get more nutrients that way. And another thing about watermelon salad, which is so great for the summer, is that watermelon water is full of water. And so it's really hydrating. And so many people are not drinking enough water every day. So getting some of your hydration through your food can help replenish your body. So that's the watermelon salad. And when I finish making both salads, I'm going to answer questions. So again, I would have, if I was making this, I would put both limes in, I would zest both limes, I would put a little bit more onion in as well. But I just wanted to show you how this works. And it is delicious. It's a favorite at every barbecue that we have. And now that we're opening up again and people are coming over, I'm so happy that we can make this again. So I'm just going to switch my ingredients, and now we're going to make a really delicious quinoa salad. So the quinoa salad that we're making today has a base of shredded cruciferous vegetables. So we have green cabbage in here, kale, and red cabbage. So I chose this salad because, again, it's really easy to make, and you don't have to chop all this stuff by yourself. You can go to your local Trader Joe's or other stores. I bought this at Trader Joe's, and you can buy a bag of already shredded vegetables. So it's so easy to do, and it saves a lot of time. This also has Brussels sprouts in it, but you could really use any shredded vegetables. I like using cruciferous vegetables because they have so many nutrients in them. Cruciferous vegetables are full of products that are vitamins and nutrients that help your body through your digestive process. They're high in antioxidants and lots of minerals and lots of phytochemicals that help support our immune systems. So this is a really easy salad to make. I'm going to make it today with a lot of different ingredients, and most of them are optional. You don't have to use all of them. So two of the things that I'm adding are carrots. I'm adding a carrot, and I'm adding a little bit of daikon radish. Daikon radishes can be 2 feet long. I mean, they're really, really big. But I don't know if you can notice through the Zoom, but I didn't peel these. They're both organic, so I scrubbed them clean, but I didn't peel them because a lot of the nutrients are actually in the peel of the vegetables. So the same thing goes with fruit. If you're buying organic fruit that you normally would peel, if you are able to digest the peel and the peel is edible, you want to eat it because there's so many nutrients there. So if you want, you can certainly put these in a food processor and they'll boom, they'll grate really quickly. I'm going to just show you 2 other options. You can use an old-fashioned grater and just put it in the bowl and grate it this way. And you can, same thing with the daikon radish. Or you can use a mandolin, but mandolins are pretty sharp. So certainly don't go out and buy one. And if you have kids who are going to be making the salad with you, you don't want to use these because they're very sharp. But again, you just rub the carrot or the radish right on it, and it goes right, and you do it right into the bowl so there's no mess. So I'm just going to do it this way. We're not using a lot of the radish because it's got a big zip, and we're also going to put some red onion in for more zip. And I put the whole carrot in. So carrots, as we all know, are really good for our eyes. And I come from a family where there's a lot of macular degeneration. So I want to make sure I'm getting a lot of beta carotene, a lot of vitamin A, a lot of lycopene that's from the watermelon in my diet. So I'm supporting myself with those really, really important nutrients. So anyway, you get the picture. This is how we do this. And I put a whole carrot in, and I do about 1/4 cup of the daikon radish. So this is called a quinoa protein salad. So 2 of the things I'm adding, one of them is optional. So again, if you don't have the carrots or you don't have the daikon radish, you don't have to use them. I'm also adding edamame. So these are edamame. They're not in the pod. They're cooked. Edamame is from soy, and soy is a complete protein. So as I said, I've got a lot of different dietary issues I have to deal with in my family. And we've got vegans and vegetarians. And a lot of people who are on a vegan or vegetarian diet have trouble getting enough protein in their day. And we all need protein to build our muscles and many, many other things in our body. So making this salad with added protein makes a big difference in their lives. So I made the quinoa in advance because I needed to let it cool. But I want to show you what it looks like when it's done before I put it in the salad. So quinoa is actually a seed. And I don't know if you can see this through the Zoom. Whoops, where's the camera? Whoops, getting on my computer, in my hand. But there's a little seed. There's a little circle that comes around each seed. I don't know if you can see that through the Zoom. Anyway, so I put in, cooking quinoa is so easy. It's like cooking rice. I used 1/2 cup of quinoa and 1 cup of water. So I didn't season this because I'm seasoning the salad. But if you're making quinoa as a side dish, then you might want to cook it in broth or cook it with some chopped onion or chopped garlic to give it more seasoning. So we have 2 sources of a complete protein that are vegetarian in here. The quinoa is a complete protein, and so is the edamame. Again, the edamame is optional. The carrots are optional. The daikon radish is optional. I'm also going to put in some celery. Where's my knife? Again, these are all optional. I just have them in the house. And so I like to use as many vegetables as I can when I'm making meals. And I want my vegetables at all 3 meals a day, if I can. And all of the recipes that I'm using, the recipes that we're using today are full of a lot of different colors. And when I work with kids, I talk to them about eating the colors of the rainbow every day. But we as grown-ups need to eat all those colors also, because each color group has different vitamins and minerals in it. And we need to expose ourselves to all those different ones. So what I did, in case you couldn't see it close up on the Zoom, is I cut the stalk of celery into thirds, and then I put them next to each other and I just chop them. So those are the main ingredients that are going into the salad. And the other part of this dish, which makes it so delicious, is the dressing. So I am using one of my favorite kitchen tools, which is a mini chopper. So there's a little blade that goes in the middle, and it just makes the dressing really, really quickly. And I make salad dressing. I never buy salad dressing anymore. I always make it in my mini chopper. And for salads, even though we're not doing that kind of dressing today, like an oil and vinegar dressing, I make a vinaigrette, and I'll fill this up when I make it, and I'll put it in a mason jar. And so I'll have it for several days in the fridge if I'm eating salads every night. So to make the dressing, number one, I'm using fresh ginger. I love ginger, and ginger also is so medicinal. I'm not peeling the ginger. So you can see this. This is the inside, and the peel is still here. I've scrubbed this clean, but again, this is organic, and there's a lot of nutrition in the peel. So I'm using the whole thing. So this is so we're putting this right in the mini chopper. And today's a big lime day. It just happens to work out that way. So we're gonna juice 2 limes with the same tool, my little squeeze thing. I'm sure there's a real name for this. And I'm gonna squeeze these in. And the great thing about making this dressing in the mini chopper is that I don't have to grate the ginger. It will just chop up in the machine. So this is so easy, and it's so delicious. And one of the nice things about this particular bag of slaw that I bought is that it has red cabbage in it. And the red and purple part of the food color rainbow is not as prevalent. Like, we tend to eat more carrots, and we eat green things, we eat white things, we don't eat a lot of dark purple things, and we need those nutrients in our diet. So that's one of the reasons I love this particular bag of slaw. So, okay, so now we have our ginger and we have our lime in here. I'm also going to put in some fresh peanut butter. This is organic. I'm big on organic produce and organic food in general whenever I can. So we're going to put in a little over a tablespoon of this. We're going to put in a little bit more olive oil. Again, we're using this one from California. And some salt and pepper to taste, and those are certainly optional. Clearly, if anybody in your family doesn't eat nuts, you want to make a different kind of dressing for this. And the food is delicious, so you really can make whatever you want. You could use a vinaigrette dressing, you could use something more tangy. Just, you know, I think cooking is something that gives us an opportunity to really be flexible and use the kinds of, you know, try different spices, different ingredients. So I'm using some Himalayan sea salt, which is very healthy if you can handle salt. There are a lot of minerals in this. I'm not going to overdo it because I don't like a lot of salt. And I'm using some freshly ground black pepper. I always use freshly ground pepper. I don't ever use regular pepper that's already ground. Somebody told me once that you have no idea how long it's been sitting around, and so you always want to grind it yourself. So this is the mini chopper. Oh, I want to get the top. Sorry, I'll just do it this way. And in 2 seconds, it's already chopped. It's already mixed. It's so easy to do. So I don't know if you can see this clearly. And then I just pour it on the salad and mix it up. So this is what it looks like when it's all done, which is beautiful. And when I serve this, I have some nuts, some extra crushed peanuts on the side in case people want it even crunchier. I always have a bowl of chopped cilantro on the side. So cilantro I don't add because cilantro is one of those love it or hate it things. And my mother, who's probably on today, doesn't like cilantro. So I always have to have the cilantro on the side, or 2 guacamoles, one with and one without, for my mom. But one of the things about cilantro, if you are offering cilantro, is that this is what it looks like, on the stem. And when I chop cilantro, I'm only using the leaves, but the stem is edible. So I save the stems and either I put them in soups or I put them in my smoothies. I really like to use the whole food whenever I can, not throw any parts away that are edible. And then I always will have some extra lime on the side, like little wedges. So people, if they want a little bit more juicy, they can have, there's more lime available. So one thing about the dressing, if you'll see in this, when you look at the recipe, the dressing for this amount keeps it pretty dry. It's not a wet slaw. It's not like a coleslaw that you would get at the deli. If you like a wetter salad, then you can certainly double or increase the amount of sauce dressing that you're making. But I don't like it mushy, and I don't like the quinoa to be mushy. And again, a lot of these ingredients are optional. You don't have to do everything. You don't need to go buy a mandolin. These are really easy things to make. And a lot of stores sell already pre-chopped carrots, onions, etc. And you could use those as well. But just remember, if you're buying anything that's pre-chopped, then it's not going to last as long in your refrigerator. So I mentioned to you guys that I really like to eat organic food when I can. It's not always more expensive. So when you buy organic produce, all produce has a sticker on it with a number. Almost all the organic food has a 5-digit number that starts with a 9. I don't know if you can see this. This is from a bag of cherries. Can you see that? So it's a 5-digit number. Now the mint isn't ready yet in my garden, so I had to buy it. The mint, it doesn't really have, I don't think it has a number on it, but it actually has a seal that says that it's organic. Can you see that? So when you're buying food, a lot of times when people go shopping, they'll pick up an apple, or they'll pick up a pear, or they'll pick up a peach, and then they might see one they like better and they put it down and take the different one, but they're not always putting it back in the right bin where they picked it up from. So I always have to wear my reading glasses when I go to the market, because it does matter to me what I'm buying. And so I do want to check the stickers to make sure, even though it says that this is the box of organic lemons, for example, that what I'm buying really is organic, because most things will have a sticker on them. So I do encourage you guys to check that out. So anyway, so let's mix up this salad.
And Daryl, do you have any suggestions if we don't have any quinoa for the salad? Any subs for quinoa?
Oh, sure, Jen, that's such a good question. So I should have said from the beginning, even though quinoa is a seed, it's sort of considered like a grain. And if you don't eat grains, you could make the slaw without it. If you don't have quinoa and you want to have another grain, you could certainly use brown rice or wild rice, millet, which is, these are all gluten-free. So everything, also I should have mentioned, I'm gluten-free, so everything I cook is gluten-free, and these salads are also gluten-free. There's no gluten in them. So that's a very good question. But again, my feeling when you're cooking is that unless you're baking something where you really have to have the exact proportions of wet and dry for the cake or the muffins or whatever to come out correctly, you want to experiment, you want to try different things, you want to use what's in your house. You don't want to if you were making this, for example, and so this is what it looks like, all fresh and mixed together. So it's not a wet dressing. It gives the flavor, but it's still dry, and you're still tasting the kale, the cabbage, the Brussels sprouts, the edamame. And edamame is the same thing that you get at Japanese restaurants, but it's in the pod when you go out to a Japanese restaurant. But you can buy this in the freezers. I bought this in the freezer section and just boiled it to heat this up, to make this salad today. But I do think that you could certainly make this with other grains or even without the grains if you don't eat grains. That's a great question. Thank you. So anyway, these are all really easy to make. We made both of these in about a half an hour, and I didn't squeeze all the lime. I didn't zest all the limes for the watermelon salad, but that only would have taken a couple more minutes. So these are so easy to make. And you can make them way ahead of time, the day before, the night before, leave them in your fridge. And then when your company comes, just put them on the table. You don't have to be in the kitchen cooking when everybody else is outside having a good time. So I love these. So this is the feta cheese that I bought to put on the salad. So you can buy feta already chopped up, ready to go, or some stores have it actually it's not really a brine, but in water, and it comes in a cube and you have to chop it. So if you don't want to do any chopping, then there are almost every store around will have in the cheese department or the refrigerator department a container of already cubed feta cheese. So you can get feta from cow or sheep or goat. So sheep and goat are more easily digestible than cow cheeses. But they taste, with the fetas, they taste very, very similar. But you'll see, what you like and what your family likes to eat as well. So these are the things that I use. Again, the peanut butter is organic as well that I used. And I think that these are really easy additions to have to any get together that you have in the summertime. In the winter, watermelon isn't as plentiful, but you could certainly make the quinoa salad as well in the cold weather. So I'd love to answer questions for you guys because I'm so passionate about eating this way. And again, I just want to remind you, every single ingredient that we use is really healthy. They're all full of vitamin C, vitamin A. Some of them have manganese, which is a trace mineral that we need. They're full of fiber. We all need fiber in our diets. There's protein in both of them. If you eat the cheese, then the watermelon salad has protein. So these are just great additions to anybody's meal that are full of nutrients, and your guests would never know that you're feeding them health food. They're just really pretty and delicious.
Thank you so much, Daryl. So I'm going to invite everyone, if you have a question, you can type it in the chat, or, we're a small enough group that you can unmute yourself and ask Daryl a question too. I'll start with the chat. Amber Chang asks, what can you substitute for onion when someone cannot have onion?
So that's a great question. If you can't eat onion, then I would probably avoid the whole onion group, no leeks, no scallions, etc. The onion is there just for extra flavor. And so you certainly can put a little bit more lime to get a little more tang in the dressing. If you're talking about the watermelon salad where you're using so much onion, there's so many different recipes out there using watermelon in different ways. But this one, the watermelon and the mint alone are a delicious combination. You're not going to be missing anything. And if you eat the cheese, that adds another flavor. The one thing I would just add about the watermelon salad is that feta cheese holds its, I'll show you again. it holds its shape. So when you're eating it, it's not mushy. If you use just regular goat cheese, not goat feta, but just goat cheese, it gets very mushy when you mix it with all the liquid that's coming, because the watermelon's very watery, obviously, and it gets too mushy. So if you are using goat cheese, I would make sure it's the goat feta.
But feta cheese is very salty.
Feta is salty, so if you can't eat it, if you're watching your salt and that's not part of your diet, again, it's not an integral ingredient in the meal. It just adds a little bit, it just adds a little tang to this, to match the sweetness of the melon, but it's not something that you have to have. So that's why I say I always leave it on the side, because I've got so many people coming who've got different dietary issues, and I have my own, so I'm not annoyed with them. But I want to honor them and want them to be able to have something to eat. So leave the cheese on the side.
Thank
So-
you.
Edith, I see your hand is raised. Do you have another question?
No, I just didn't take it off. I'm taking it off now.
Okay, great. So Mary Kay asks, how far in advance can you make these salads and how long do they keep?
That's a great question, Mary Kay. So the watermelon salad has fresh mint in it, and the mint starts to turn a little bit brown. So I would make the watermelon salad the day before you're serving it to company. It will last in your refrigerator for a few days, but when you have company over, you might not want the mint turning colors. But it will certainly, it stays good in your refrigerator for a few days. Same with the other salad. The only thing I would be careful as is if you do mix the cheese in with it, then you don't want to leave it out for a really long time. But other than that, these things will stay in your refrigerator for several days. So one thing you might want to do if you're making the quinoa salad the day before, then you might want to wait and mix the salad dressing, the peanut butter dressing, on it closer to when you're serving it, so that everything stays really crispy in the refrigerator. So you'd store it in a pretty airtight container the day, after you shred everything and put it together, and then make your dressing, and then just mix it to take the dressing out an hour before you're going to use it, so it softens up, and then mix it right before your company comes.
It's funny that you say that. I was just thinking about the dressing on that, and I was thinking, I think I'd like to put that on a few hours before, because I kind of want it to soften those cruciferous vegetables are so like labor intensive, chewy. Right. I was thinking that that would be good to have a little citrus on it that would kind of start to soften them a little bit. Absolutely, but you definitely could do that. But if you do it overnight, it might get a little mushy. A few hours before, absolutely. But if you do it overnight, because this one I made yesterday, but I did not put a lot of dressing on it. So it's still pretty firm, but it's not as firm as the one that I just made today.
A question. My chat doesn't, I'm having trouble with my chat, so I'm just going to ask you. You mentioned when we eat the carrots, we could use the outside. And I actually remember as a kid, my dad was from Eastern Europe, feeling Americans wasted a lot of healthy nutrients by not eating it. But yet I always feel that you're getting either a sandy taste or things that are sprayed in, in the environment. So do you still scrub it, or then do you lose the nutrients?
So Louise, I'm glad you brought that up. So I only eat the peel if they're organically grown.
Okay.
Don't eat the peel if they're conventionally grown.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, I eat a lot of carrots, so I buy big, like 5-pound bags of organic carrots until mine are ripe in my garden. And I have a brush and I scrub them really well.
Okay.
I get all the dirt off.
The way you would do a potato or something.
Exactly. But your dad was right. And so, I mean, I'm really big, as I said, on eating the whole food. If I go to the farmer's market and the carrots still have the greens, carrot greens are edible. So sometimes I make a pesto, I mix basil with the tops of the carrot greens, or I'll put them in, making a vegetable soup, I'll put them in the vegetable soup. You know, there's so your dad's right. I mean, Americans throw a lot of edible food, a lot of edible stuff away that has so many nutrients in them.
What value does watermelon have? Nutritional value?
So watermelon is really, really nutritious. It's sweet, but the sugar, there's so much water in it, you're not overloading your body with sugar. But watermelon, I just want to put the top on this. Watermelon is very high in vitamin A, which is so important to our immune strength. It's high in fiber. It's high in lycopene, which is really good for our eyes. It's high in vitamin C. It's high in vitamin B6, which is important for our mental functioning. It has minerals in it. Everything here is high in fiber because, you know, there's fiber in all of our fruits and vegetables. So there's so much in it that's good for us. And you can buy organic watermelon too. You don't have to, but it's out there.
Okay,
And
thank
do
you.
you, when you get a prepackaged salad, do you still wash them off or do you use it straight from the bag?
I usually give it another rinse in my salad. Yeah.
Daryl, I have a question, and this is, it's a little bit different from the salads, but it is a fruit question, so it's somewhat related. In the
Yeah.
summertime, they encourage a lot of folks to drink fruit infused water. So putting berries in water and drinking it that way, and it's like a naturally occurring. What do you think about that? Is that a good way to still get the nutrients from the fruits? I mean, I know it's got to be better than things that have all that sugar in them and that kind of stuff, but I just wanted to know your thoughts on that.
So Jen, you guys are asking such great questions. So most people are dehydrated. We need to get enough water in our bodies just to replenish what we lose through living, through perspiration. Our bodies are made mostly of water, so we need water to live. We need water to transport nutrients through our bodies, especially water-soluble nutrients like vitamin C, which is so important to our immune health. We need it for our mental functioning. We need it for muscle, like we need water for everything. So number one, I think depending on where you live, you need to know what your water supply is like, and maybe you need to filter your water, and maybe you don't. But everybody can find that out from their local municipality. Some people don't like to drink plain water, and so they want to flavor it. So there are water bottles that have like a tube, then you can put some strawberries or whatever in to give a little flavor. So that's great, but you're not getting the fiber from the strawberries. You might not be getting all of the nutrients from the strawberries as if you were eating a whole one, because you're not eating the whole thing. You're just getting some flavor. So there's nothing wrong at all with flavoring your water with real fruit. I squeeze some fresh lemon, not from the little yellow bottles, but a real lemon in my water in the morning. I drink 1 glass of lemon water, and then I rinse my mouth out just to get the lemon off my teeth because it's acidic. But it's so good for you. But in terms of blueberries, peaches, raspberries, whatever, it's a great addition if you like the flavor, but that doesn't mean don't eat the real fruit also, if you like the real fruit. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
Okay.
It does. Does anybody else have any questions for Daryl?
So
This
Jen,
is terrific. Daryl, you always do such a wonderful job, and I'm thrilled. I can't wait to get the recording and mull it over and make it myself.
oh, great. Thank you, Louise. I just wanted to mention, maybe you guys can put this in the chat. There's an organization, it's a nonprofit called the Environmental Working Group, and their website is www.ewg.org. And they rate the chemical residue of things. They rate school supplies, they rate toys, they rate lots of different things, but they also rate what's left over on fruits and vegetables after you wash or peel them. So they're not talking about your carbon footprint. They're not talking about chemical runoff in the water supply. And those are very, very valid issues. But they do rate just what's left over after you clean them or you peel them if they're peelable. and they have two lists, the clean 15 and the dirty dozen. And so if you're new to eating organic food and you want to pick and choose where you're spending your money, the foods on the dirty dozen list are the most important ones to buy organic. And it's not intuitive. So for example, I used to think, well, I don't have to buy, apples, and apples are hard. There are other issues with apples, but apples are on the dirty dozen list, which you wouldn't think they would. I mean, I wouldn't have thought they would be because you can peel an apple, but apples absorb the pesticide throughout the fruit. Whereas broccoli, which we don't peel, is on the clean 15 list because it naturally defends itself from pesticides. So I use that like as my Bible. The foods on the dirty dozen list, I only buy organic. So it's a free resource, and it's a nonprofit. They don't take any money, from any food, big agricultural farms or anything like that. And so I think you can print it or put it on your phone, and it's a wonderful resource to have when you're doing your shopping.
Daryl.
Yes.
My daughter, she lives in Georgia. So, well, I get food because I'm a Holocaust survivor. They send me the boxes of food. But anyway, I can't use them all, but she can. So there are cans in there. I'll ask you about them. But last time they sent me a big bag of potatoes and a big bag of apples. And I put them in the box. And unfortunately, she said they were just, they got bad anyway. So would you know, maybe, well, it was very hot also. And it takes at least 3 days to ship them. So I don't know, would you know how I could send them? Or maybe I should wait until the weather gets cooler.
To send them back to Georgia? I don't know.
Oh, you don't know how they would keep. Okay, and the other thing is, I get a chicken. Well, actually, she doesn't really need it because she has chickens on her property.
Oh, wow.
But okay, so while I'm at it, how would I send the chicken? How do I wrap it? And
I honestly, you probably need to do it in dry ice. I don't know because I haven't shipped things. I don't ship food.
yeah.
Well,
Well,
I think it would have to be in dry ice.
dry. Where do I get dry ice?
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe somebody else could help you. I'm sorry.
Okay, and then there are a number of cans. Now, what do you think of eating canned food? I don't like it because I know there are preservatives in there. But usually when I have these things, I drain it a little bit. So
Edith, that's a very broad question. So depending on what it is, there's nothing wrong with eating food out of a can, but it depends what it is. So number one, and I do eat food out of cans. I don't always have time to soak my beans. So I always have canned beans in my pantry, like as a backup if for something to eat for dinner. But I buy cans that are labeled BPA free. BPA is an abbreviation of a chemical that's commonly used to line cans, and it can leach into your food, and it's an endocrine disruptor. So it's very easy to find BPA-free cans. You can get them at Whole Foods, you can get them at Stop and Shop, you can get them at Trader Joe's. I think almost everything at Trader Joe's that's canned is BPA-free, but they're clearly marked. So if I want to make hummus, for example, and I'm using canned chickpeas, I definitely rinse them in a strainer or a colander, but I have no problem using canned food. It just depends on the can. Like fruit, I don't really buy canned fruit because I want to eat it fresh.
yeah.
It depends what it is.
I like the canned fruit. I mean,
you can eat it. You just want to, you want to watch the sugar content. You want to make sure there's no added sugar.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure there is. Yeah. And can you just repeat that? BP what?
A. So B is in boy,
BP.
P is in Peter, A is in apple.
Oh, I never knew that. Okay.
Right. So the cans are, I'm pretty sure, and you can look it up and check me, but I'm pretty sure the cans at Trader Joe's are BPA free. At Whole Foods and Stop and Shop, because those are my closest markets, they definitely mark them, so you'll know.
Well, I don't go to those. I have ShopRite.
So a ShopRite would, I'm sure they would mark them as well.
Yeah. And then, you know, the neighborhood places that I go to. But okay.
They may not have them.
Oh,
So
but
Eden Brands is BPA free. I think Westbury is BPA free.
I don't know that brand. Green Giant, is that good? Well, I'm gonna look.
I don't know. You'd have to check.
Okay,
Probably not, but you have to check.
yeah, I'll check. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You
Well,
guys have such good questions.
Yeah, yeah. It's not easy.
Well, you know, one of the interesting things about the nutrition part of what I do is that there's always something new being discovered. So there are new things to learn. There's new information out there. And we're all on our journey through life, and we're learning as we go along.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
in my late age now, I'm learning on this program. But you know, I'm 84 and I'm eating all kinds of, well, not now so much, but not really. But I don't know if you know, there's a Jewish word called chazarai, like all kinds of junk. And I'm still here. I'm healthy.
Good for you. You're doing great, Edith.
Any other questions for Daryl before we wrap up?
What about eggs? Well, I know they could break.
Are you talking about shipping eggs?
No, ship eggs.
Edith, I can't help you with the shipping. Because I don't do that. I really don't know. But in general, you guys want to be eating organic, free range chicken.
Organic. Yeah, I have organic. And I do try to go to the organic supermarket, which I have here.
Oh, good.
Yeah, of course, it's more expensive. So
Not necessarily. It depends where you go to the store. So, you know, it's supply and demand. As more and more people are looking for organic food, more and more farmers are growing it or
yeah.
raising animals that way.
But then, you know, this one is a double whammy. It's organic plus it's kosher. So kosher is always more expensive. But it's okay. I'll treat myself to that.
Okay.
Hey, I just want, can I, before we go, I know we have to go. I see Mary Kay's there, and I want to compliment her. Many of you got this in the mail at your homes, the Living the Later Years. It's from the Westchester Public-Private Partnership. It's an outstanding example of what livable communities and the Department of Senior Services and Programs can do together. So I urge you, when you see this in your mail, to read it, because it's really, really good. And thank you, Mary Kay.
Thanks, Louise. So with that, I want to say a very big thank you to Daryl Moss of Mission to Wellness. I will put her email again in the chat in case you have any further questions for her. Thank you to Deb and Louise and to our Age-Friendly Collaborative for putting everything together. And we will be with you again soon with our next program. Thank you.
Thank
you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good to see all of you.
Great day, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.